Our primary job right after our incident was like it was any other day, to take care of our people. And what was so difficult was we didn't have time to take care of ourselves to a certain extent.
The NASSP called and asked if we would be interested in joining other principals who had experienced gun violence in their schools to come together to form a group, and that group is called the Principal Recovery Network.
We've been meeting for 5 years now, and we really have grown into a family. I think it can be hard to understand how, as an individual, I could look forward to gathering with other people who've experienced school shootings, but these people are not just my colleagues, these are my friends, and they've experienced something that I've experienced that very few other school leaders have.
When I was first approached by Frank DeAngelis to become part of the network, I didn't feel like I belonged. At that point in time, I was the only principal that was not on campus when the particular event happened. And really, although I don't know what it was like to be there the day of, I don't know what it was like to try to open back up a school and all of that, I do know what it was like to come in as a new leader, which unfortunately tends to be the trend these days. I joined it to learn from others because at that point in time, I was walking through a cloud of not knowing what to do next, and their expertise and just hearing their experiences was very, very beneficial to me. The PRN has become family. We know each other's commemoration dates. We know each other's families. We know what each one is struggling with, whether it be in relation to the tragedy or just in personal lives, and we really reach out and support one another. And honestly, being a part of it, especially being the co-facilitator and being able to represent this group, has been one of the pinnacles of my career. I would not trade it for anything.
The relationships that I've built with other members have really been healing for me. And then I think the other healing part of it is we have a purpose. How can we make this world a better place? How can we help the next principal? How can we advocate for our students, for our staff, to make our schools safer so that this doesn't happen again? It kind of brings it full circle, and it kind of makes you feel like, okay, there are some good things that have come out of some terrible situations.
The work is very much therapy. Going to speak to schools, speak to other leaders. I don't mind getting emotional when I talk about my story. I don't mind sharing the story. I'm not rehashing trauma for me. It is very much therapy for me to speak about it. And at the same time, I get to help people. And that's why I got into education in the first place.
As a group, we authored the Guide to Recovery. And so now when we make that outreach, we have kind of a boilerplate letter that we send that explains who we are, that we have been through the trauma that they're experiencing, and then we go ahead and send the Guide to Recovery.
We've given it to schools that have experienced some suicide or loss of life from car accidents and things like that. So while it is geared towards gun violence or other acts of violence that would be a tragedy in a building, it's useful in a lot of different ways.
The guide itself is kind of its own path out of purgatory. And mostly what we do is let them know that there's hope at the end of what they're going through, because it feels so hopeless. You've just come in contact with one of the most evil parts of our society, where someone has harmed and in some cases killed our children, and we have to help them walk forward from that. It is a duty.